The autism spectrum diagnosis might not last. Imagine being told that a diagnosis you once believed would define your entire life may not tell the whole story. Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD, has long been understood as a lifelong neurodevelopmental condition. While autism itself does not disappear, researchers have discovered that some people who were accurately diagnosed in early childhood later no longer meet the clinical criteria for autism. This has led to an important question. Can an autism diagnosis change over time? The answer is more complex than a simple yes or no. Autism affects every person differently, and every journey is unique. Today, scientists are learning more about how the brain develops, how early intervention helps, and why some individuals experience remarkable changes in their abilities as they grow. Autism spectrum disorder is characterized by challenges in social communication, repetitive behaviors, and restricted interests. Symptoms usually appear before the age of 3, although they may become more noticeable as children grow. Doctors diagnose autism by observing behavior rather than using a blood test or brain scan. Because autism exists on a spectrum, every individual experiences it differently. Some people need significant daily support, while others live independently, pursue successful careers, and maintain fulfilling relationships. This wide range of experiences makes autism one of the most diverse neurological conditions. For decades, experts believed that autism remained unchanged throughout life. However, several long-term studies have shown that a small percentage of children who received a careful early diagnosis later developed skills to the point where they no longer met the official diagnostic criteria. Researchers sometimes call this an optimal outcome. This does not mean the person was misdiagnosed. In many studies, original diagnoses were confirmed by multiple specialists using standardized assessments. Instead, it suggests that brain development, learning, and intensive support can significantly improve functioning in some individuals. One of the biggest reasons for these improvements is early intervention. Therapies focusing on communication, language, social interaction, and daily living skills can make a tremendous difference during the early years when the brain is developing rapidly. Speech therapy helps children communicate more effectively. Occupational therapy improves motor skills and sensory processing. Behavioral therapies teach problem solving, emotional regulation, and social understanding. Family involvement reinforces these skills every day. The earlier these supports begin, the greater the opportunity for children to build important developmental skills. However, improvement is possible at many ages, and learning never truly stops. Scientists believe genetics also plays a major role. Hundreds of genes contribute to autism, and each person has a unique combination of genetic influences. Environmental factors during early brain development may also interact with genetics. Brain imaging studies show that the brains of autistic individuals develop differently from those of neurotypical individuals. However, the brain remains highly adaptable, especially during childhood. This adaptability, known as neuroplasticity, allows new neural connections to form as people learn new skills. Some children gradually become better at understanding facial expressions, making eye contact, managing emotions, and participating in conversations. These improvements can reduce the visible signs clinicians use during evaluations. Still, experts emphasize an important point. Autism itself is not considered cured. Many individuals who no longer meet diagnostic criteria continue to experience subtle differences in sensory processing, anxiety, executive functioning, or social communication. Some people simply become very skilled at masking or compensating for their challenges. They learn social rules through observation and practice, allowing them to function well in school or work, even though social situations may still require extra mental effort. Masking is not the same as recovery. In fact, constantly hiding autistic traits can sometimes lead to stress, exhaustion, anxiety, or burnout. Researchers continue studying how often diagnostic changes occur. Current evidence suggests that only a relatively small percentage of individuals experience this outcome. Most autistic people continue to meet diagnostic criteria throughout adulthood, although their strengths and challenges often change over time. The goal of therapy has also evolved. In the past, treatment focused mainly on reducing autistic behaviors. Today, many professionals emphasize improving communication, independence, mental health, education, and overall quality of life, instead of trying to make someone appear non-autistic. The autism community has also reshaped public understanding. Many autistic adults describe autism not as a disease to eliminate, but as a different way of experiencing the world. They advocate for acceptance, accessibility, and respect for neurological differences. This perspective has influenced schools, workplaces, healthcare systems, and families worldwide. Instead of asking how to remove autism, many experts now ask how society can better support autistic individuals. Diagnosis itself has improved over the years. Earlier generations often missed children with milder symptoms, girls whose traits appeared differently, and adults who had learned to cope without recognition. Today's broader understanding means more accurate diagnoses across the lifespan. Because diagnostic criteria have changed over time, someone diagnosed years ago might receive a different evaluation today. Likewise, a child may gain or lose a diagnosis as clinicians gather more developmental information. This does not necessarily mean autism has disappeared. It reflects the complexity of human development and the evolving science of diagnosis. Families receiving a new autism diagnosis often worry about the future. While no one can predict exactly how each child will develop, research consistently shows that supportive environments, individualized education, early intervention, and strong family involvement lead to better outcomes. Progress should never be measured only by whether someone keeps or loses a diagnosis. Success means helping individuals communicate effectively, build meaningful relationships, pursue education, develop independence, and enjoy life according to their own goals. Adults with autism continue to achieve remarkable accomplishments. Many become scientists, artists, engineers, musicians, entrepreneurs, teachers, and advocates. Their unique ways of thinking often contribute creativity, attention to detail, honesty, and innovative problem solving. Employers are increasingly recognizing these strengths by creating autism-friendly workplaces that value diverse thinking styles. Technology has also transformed support. Communication apps, virtual reality social training, online therapy, wearable devices, and artificial intelligence tools are helping individuals develop skills that were difficult to teach only a decade ago. Researchers continue exploring new ways to understand autism through genetics, neuroscience, psychology, and education. Future discoveries may reveal why some individuals experience significant developmental changes while others follow different paths. Despite these advances, experts agree that every autistic individual deserves respect regardless of where they fall on the spectrum. Whether someone requires lifelong support or eventually no longer meets diagnostic criteria, their experiences remain valid. The phrase, "the autism spectrum diagnosis might not last," reflects an important scientific observation rather than a promise. For a small number of people, the clinical diagnosis may change over time. For many others, autism remains a lifelong part of who they are. Neither outcome is better or worse. What matters most is ensuring every person receives understanding, acceptance, appropriate support, and opportunities to thrive. As science continues uncovering new knowledge about brain development, one lesson becomes increasingly clear. Human development is incredibly flexible. Growth can continue throughout life, and abilities can improve in ways once thought impossible. Autism research is moving away from focusing solely on limitations and toward recognizing strengths, individuality, and lifelong potential. Every autistic person has a unique story shaped by genetics, environment, education, relationships, and personal determination. Whether an autism diagnosis changes or remains the same, hope lies not in removing labels, but in empowering people to live meaningful, fulfilling, and successful lives on their own terms. That is the future researchers, families, educators, and autistic individuals are working toward together.